So today I want to talk about something a little bit personal. It's a story about health, but it's not a how-to guide or anything like that. It's really just about a journey that totally flipped my whole idea of what it even means to be well.
And yeah, let's just get this out of the way right up front. I'm not here to tell you what to do. This is really just me sharing a pretty big shift in my own thinking, and I thought, maybe it's something that'll connect with some of you too.
Okay, so let's get into it. And I want to start with a mindset that I think a lot of us can probably relate to. It's this constant, nagging pressure to always be doing more.
For the longest time, my logic was, it seemed pretty simple and sound to me. If I was going to take a supplement, I had to take enough of it to actually feel something, A high dose, to me, meant it was working. Simple as that.
And this idea, it didn't just come out of nowhere, right? It's all around us. You've got high content just blasted on product labels. You scroll through social media and you see these dramatic before and afters. And kind of simmering underneath all that is this low-grade anxiety, a fear that if you're not going all out, you're just falling behind.
And I gotta be honest, it really stopped being about a rational choice. It was more about managing how I felt. If I was feeling tired, I'd just take a little more. Stressed out, up the dose. It was my way of feeling like I was in control. A little bit of psychological comfort.
But then things started to change. A complete change of scenery made me start questioning all of this. It all started when I moved to Japan, and I just began noticing, a totally different way of thinking about daily well-being. And it wasn't some big dramatic event. It was actually just a bunch of small, everyday things I saw that, over time, made me rethink everything I thought I knew.
The difference was just so clear. I noticed my friends there. Yeah, they took supplements, but their whole routine was the complete opposite of mine. The doses were always low. They didn't have a cabinet full of stuff. They just stuck to one or two things. And their routine was like clockwork, super consistent. But here's the kicker. Nobody ever talked about chasing some big effect or feeling.
At first, I was kind of like, what's the point then? But as I watched longer, I saw something that was way more interesting. These people didn't really have massive energy spikes. Sure, but they also didn't seem to have those big crashes either. The goal wasn't some huge improvement. It was this quiet, remarkable stability.
So all of these little observations were just kind of floating around in my head. And then one day, one single conversation just brought it all into focus. It was that aha moment I didn't even know I was looking for.
A friend of mine said this, almost like it was nothing. The body is not a warehouse. And I don't know, it clicked. That one sentence completely shattered my old way of thinking.
And that was it. I realized our bodies can only absorb so much at one time. Piling in more than it can handle doesn't just get saved for later like you're stocking up a warehouse. No, it actually becomes a burden. It's just more work for your body to process and get rid of. The goal wasn't to stuff the warehouse. It was to give it a slow, steady supply it could actually use.
So what do you do with a realization like that? Well, it made me completely change my game plan. My whole focus shifted from how much I was taking to how long I could keep it up.
So the very first thing I didn't add anything new. I actually took things away. I cut down the dose of everything. And the big question in my head just totally changed. It went from, am I taking enough to get through today, to, is this a routine I can do for years without even having to think about it?
This slide really gets to the heart of it. Before, I was always chasing a feeling, judging my day based on these emotional highs and lows. But now, my scorecard is just so much quieter. I started asking myself different things, like, is my sleep more stable? Is my energy more consistent? Do I feel less frazzled? The answers were all these little things, but they were always there.
So after all this, what was the actual result? What did it feel like? Well, it was definitely not what the old me would have called a success, but it turned out to be so much better.
If you had asked me after 3 months to show you some huge dramatic result, I wouldn't have had one. The biggest change wasn't about suddenly feeling better. It was really about the absence of the ups and downs. I just felt, steady.
When I look back, my old way of doing things really was like being on a roller coaster. Always trying to manage the good days and the bad days, tweaking this, reacting to that, just a lot of ups and downs.
But this new way, it feels like a straight line. There's less drama, there's less noise, there's just less that I have to actively manage. Just a nice, consistent baseline.
And this really led me to a whole new definition of what this was all for. For me, the goal of a long-term routine isn't to be some magic fix for a problem you're having today. It's more like building a good foundation so that those problems just don't pop up as often in the first place.
And the best part is, health just stopped being this big, loud project I had to constantly tinker with. It kind of just faded into the background. It's like this quiet, supportive hum that's always there, but it's not demanding all of my attention anymore.
So, if you ever find yourself stuck in that same loop, that loop of wondering, am I doing enough? Should I be doing more? I just want to leave you with the question that I ask myself now.
Instead of, is this the best dose for today? Try asking yourself this. Can I live this way for the next 3 years? Just changing that time frame from a single day to years, it changes everything. It puts the focus on ease and consistency and stability, not on short-term intensity. And for me, honestly, that has made all the difference.